Chris Williams, Chris Hassel. Two guys named Chris. Presented by Fairway Meat and Grocery. From the Channel Seed Studios, this is Iowa Everywhere.
What's up? Happy Sunday. Changing things up for you guys in more ways than one. We are traveling all week, so we're just trying to piece together when we're going to do shows, and here we are. Good idea by my co-host Chris Hassel. We're doing this in between the Iowa Drake games, the Iowa women tipping off here before too long, and it is one of the busiest weeks of the year when you get to do what we do for a living. My name is Chris Hassel, my name is Chris Williams, joined as always by Chris Hassel. I am not Chris Hassel. Thank God. How are you? Tough day for you. Hawks go down to Nebraska. Hoiberg owns you guys. Ouch.
Yeah, I had to get old Couteret out of the cabinet. He's celebrating today. My God, I mean, how stunning was that? After Iowa went in to Indiana,
yeah, the best game
just killed the Hoosiers. They come home as an 11.5-point favorite and just get punked by the Skurs. They could have clinched the double bye. They could have clinched the 2 seed. And now they have to rely on help. This kind of reminds you of the old days. Hoiberg just kind of owning Iowa. And his kid was out there just filling it up from deep.
Boy, Sam, spitting image of dad. You see that picture right there if you're watching on the YouTube. Yeah, listen, I'll give Nebraska some credit. They've been playing really well. Fred's done a really good job to get that turned around.
They won 5 of their last 6 games in the regular season.
They're playing really good basketball. I wouldn't want a piece of Nebraska next week in the Big Ten tournament. I know that.
But still, you're at home.
You're at home. That's
day.
The hard part. Yeah, absolutely.
You just kill Nebraska on the glass. Iowa had 21 offensive rebounds. They had so many second and third chance points. They took care of the basketball. They had 12 steals to Nebraska's 1. They attempted 21 more shots, and they still lost because they cannot force teams into shooting bad shots. The opponents, outside of that Indiana game, opponents are just getting really high percentage shots every time down the court against this
Nebraska
Iowa team.
just kept getting to the rim. Didn't matter the guy. Just kept getting to the rim. Carving
even Sam Hoiberg got to the rim once.
Yeah.
He shot 58.5% from the field.
Yeah.
Almost 54% from deep. They barely were at the free throw line, Nebraska. They were just 5 for 8. It did it all from the field. It's just – and we've seen other teams do that to Iowa. It just so happened that Iowa was able to pull off miracle wins in a couple of those games. Like Michigan State did that against Iowa. Who else did that earlier in the season? Indiana, Michigan, in games that Iowa came back to win at home. There was no magic, though, on this day. None for Iowa late in that game. And sure, I know Iowa was upset and fans are upset about that block charge that went against the Hawks late in that game, but they were down 4 at the time. There wasn't a ton of time left. They probably still don't win the game.
It was the guy that Fran stared down, right?
Is that who made the call?
I think it was the same guy.
Well, boy, you would think that after losing the stare down to Fran McCaffrey that he would give him the benefit of the doubt on a call that, right?
You just proved the point. Because all these Iowa fans are like, well, of course he's mad about the stare down. Well, he is a human.
Well, right.
You try and embarrass a guy and humiliate him on national television last week. That's the same guy who made the block charge.
And he became this instantly went on social media, became a meme. It was seen by millions and millions and millions of people over and over again. This poor official has to keep seeing this, and I'm sure everybody's asking him about it.
And he had his schedule. He's like, shit, I got to go back there next week. Oh,
man. Going back to Iowa City. Looking at the box score, you just see glaring holes in the box score for Iowa. Aaron Eulis is a starter. He didn't score. Where was Tony Perkins? He only took 6 shots. He scored 6 points.
He's the key. I'm telling you.
He'll disappear. And Chris Murray, he was 3 for 13 from 3. And you heard Robbie Hummel say it multiple times on the broadcast. There's something going on with Murray's jump shot. He's been fading away a lot.
Yeah.
And that was a really astute observation that Hummel had. But Murray just kept shooting and kept missing. You got 6 threes from Patrick McCaffrey, and it didn't matter. It's just
that's a
team,
hard one.
They're just so bad defensively that if they don't shoot 40% from 3, they don't win many games.
They weren't even that bad as a team today from 3, were they? What was their final?
32%. But they took so many. Half their shots were threes.
Yeah.
They took 74 shots. 37 of them were threes.
It's tough. And Nebraska's hot too. You know, you caught a good. That's a good team. That's a team right now. I feel like if Fred could have had this team just 2 weeks earlier, they would probably be an NCAA tournament team.
Yeah, they could be knocking on the door. Yeah,
I mean, you screwed around with a good team.
They turned it around a little bit too late. But this Iowa team, every time you think they're going to zig, they zag.
Well, I know the feeling.
Nobody expected them to do that at Indiana. And then nobody expected them to do this against Nebraska. And I know you're going to say Iowa State did the same thing with a stunning win, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But every time I think this Iowa team can be really dangerous, they do something like this. I don't know what the answer is when you just can't. You have no consistency on the defensive end.
They just remind me so much of the old Hoiberg teams. I know I've said that a lot, but I mean we've been through this, like doing elite offense, horrific defense, and that's why it's hard to go deep in the tournament too. One, don't have an off shooting day because you can't get stops, and we saw it for close to a decade in Ames. It's a blast when it's working. It's a hell of a lot more fun than winning how Otzelberger's doing it, I can tell you that. Yeah. But when you're losing, though, it's the death by 1,000 paper cuts. It's your football team that can't stop the run, right? Like it's a horrible feeling to sit there and watch Sam Hoiberg carve up your insides. Like, honestly, like it's bad. Hey, we'll get back to the games. Of course, Fairway Meat and Grocery is our presenting sponsor here on Two Guys Named Chris. We appreciate them. We now have a studio sponsor, which this is awesome. I am a big fan of this company. I've known one of my really close friends has worked for Channel Seeds for a really long time, so I've been familiar with it. His name's Chad. Shout out to you, my man.
He's a seedsman?
He's a seedsman, baby. He's a seedsman, Channel Seedsman. Channel Seeds, we're now, I don't know if we can say broadcasting, because this isn't really broadcasting. We're podcasting, I guess, from the Channel Seeds studio. And this is a network-wide sponsor for Iowa Everywhere. Big-time deal for us. This is our second network-wide one with our friends from Circus Sports as well. And really big deal. So we wanted to give them a grand thank you. I think our listenership and our viewership is going to really spike because of when we are doing this today, right after the Iowa game and going ahead. So I'm really excited to give them a very warm welcome. And look at that logo. Isn't that sick? It matches our logo.
It's almost perfect.
Yeah.
Basically the same colors. Did you create our logo in hopes of getting Channel to jump on board?
I didn't, but that would have been a smart move. I might be. You think I'm synergy. That smart? I'm not that smart. Go to channel.com if you want to learn more. We're going to tell you all about them here with our partnership with them. But we are now in the Channel Seed studios. So thank you.
Spreading that seed all over. I do, before we move on from Iowa,
that's going to become your thing, isn't it?
What? Well, spread your seed from the Missouri to the Mississippi with Channel Seeds.
Seedsmanship at work.
We are seedsmen through and through. Before we move on from Iowa,
We got more pick off this Iowa bone here.
yeah, that's what I thought. Getting a lot of questions in the chat
What do we
about
got?
Fran McCaffrey and Notre Dame. Spencer wants to know my take on Notre Dame and Fran. Matt Sampson says, does Fran go to Notre Dame now so he can get further away from Fred?
Question. Is that like being reported on now?
No. So the last we talked about this was, I think, 2 weeks ago. And I was just telling you what I had heard. I had heard that Notre Dame didn't have much of an interest in Fran, and it wasn't going to happen. Things started off slow, but I've heard from a couple different people, they've picked up a little bit, but I'm getting some differing information. I'm getting the source that I talked to, a couple of weeks ago,
Mr.
stands
Journalism.
by it, says that there's a 0% chance of Notre Dame hiring Fran McCaffrey.
Okay.
But a couple other folks have come crawling up the web, and they said that it was a no-go at first, but Fran is now in the running for the job. Whether it's them striking out on a couple of guys, I still think that they're looking definitely at Micah Shrewsbury, who just notched a huge win today at Penn State. But Fran, look, what Fran has done in Iowa, I think Notre Dame would sign up for that right now. I think Notre Dame would sign up for 20 wins a year and mostly an NCAA tournament berth and maybe even a win more years than not. They've fallen quite a bit. So, bottom line is, some people are saying that there is starting to be a little bit of momentum toward Fran being in the running for that job, which is more than I could say 2 weeks ago.
I've been working my sources as well, because high end journalism here on Two Guys Named Chris.
Well, if there's one thing that you would consider me and you before all else, it's journalism with a capital J.
They can just send us the Broadcasters of the Year award now.
I call it J-curve journalism.
I heard that if Fran were to get Notre Dame, he would more than likely have to take a pay cut, because there's no way Notre Dame would give him the sweetheart of a contract that he has at
That does
Iowa.
not surprise me at all, because of all of the raises and the sweetheart deals that he has gotten from Gary Barta and Iowa. And this is another avenue toward getting another bump. If he can convince them that Notre Dame does want him, and Gary Barta really wants to keep him, there'll be even more money.
You can't, what are you going to do? He's already, through 31, right? When is his contract through?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
I'm
Why does that
saying,
matter?
what more can you give the guy?
There's always more. If you can prove, if you're in demand, or at least if you can
perception that you're in
convince
demand?
someone that you're in demand, and the place that you're at is afraid of losing you, you can get more. It can always get better.
I was just told Notre Dame usually caps out, this is people in the business telling me, in the agent world, around $2.5 million, and there's no way they would give him the amount of years that he has at Iowa. But that doesn't mean, maybe he wants out. Maybe
I don't. But don't you think that he would take that if he was offered a somewhat similar deal? Don't you think that? Because you gotta believe Margaret is going to have much of a say in this. She is one of the all-time great Notre Dame women's basketball players. Reportedly does not love it in the state of Iowa.
It's because of guys like you.
I think if offered the job, even if it isn't a pay raise, even if it's not a sweetheart deal, I think he'd take it.
He's not getting any younger, and he's made a lot of money. So it's like maybe that's the job that he's kind of always wanted, Yeah. And it's like, this is my last move. I don't know. I do know this. There certainly feels like there's a lot of smoke around this. Well, now, that doesn't mean he's going to get it, but it feels like he's...
I think if they offered it to him, he would go. I don't have any inside info on that. I just feel like he would. Because it's not just him, it's his wife as well.
Who's your first call?
He's been at Iowa a long time. I mean, I think a lot of people would say it feels like it's kind of run its course.
Do you just call DeVries? Is that it? Call Drake?
Huh?
Do you just call DeVries if Fran leaves?
If you're Iowa, hell yeah.
Yeah, that seems like a no-brainer to me.
But, a lot of people are saying, like, well, why would Notre Dame want him? I mean, he's never been to a Sweet 16. Every school he's been to, he's never been to a Sweet 16. Notre Dame has only been to the tournament once in, like, the last 6 seasons. They haven't made a Sweet 16, let's see, it's been, since their second to last tournament appearance in 2016. They've only made 2 Sweet 16s in the last 20 years. So it's not like they need to hire somebody who has proven that they can do something like that. I think they might sign up for just experience and what you're going to get, a sure thing. I could be wrong. And if I had to guess right now, I would guess this is not going to happen. But
I would guess that too.
I can see this as a possibility for both sides. I'm sure Notre Dame has 2 or 3 guys that they really, really want. But if they can't get a deal done with those guys, maybe that's when Fran swoops in.
I would put, if our friends at Circa had odds on this, the number at Fran McCaffrey going to Notre Dame at plus 600 right now. I just don't think. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is like a slam dunk, even if he wants it. Now, it's not to say, again, it can't get down to him.
Do you really have any doubts that he wants this? How I would be stunned if he didn't want this. Stunned.
It certainly feels like it would make sense. Guys just don't stay in these spots for as long as you've seen Fran, and there's a reason. You've been around him enough. Coaches, when they get to places, they're so happy. They're almost naive. They're accessible. They're great with the fans. They're great with the media. And then the first time they hit adversity, they go in this motion, and then they get to the point where they won't talk to anybody. They're completely inaccessible. They just have yes men around them, and then they usually will hit a rock bottom, and they'll come back around, and it just kind of ebbs and flows. We've seen it with Kirk Ferentz. We're seeing it with Matt Campbell. Didn't quite see it with Fred Hoiberg. He left in time before he got there. But it certainly feels like Fran is at a spot where, I don't know. These coaches all sit around, and I guarantee you that the McCaffrey's group is like this, and I could see why, frankly, in their defense. Look what this effing place was before we got here, and look what it is now. You guys don't appreciate us. Mm-hmm. And that's how coaches just think. I guarantee the Campbell staff sits around and said, right, and it's true.
Campbell's come out and he's said it.
This place was a laughing stock or whatever.
You guys weren't shit before I got here.
So coaches, that's how they think. And when you get to be at a place as long as Fran has been at Iowa, you have more enemies. Sure, you have a lot more friends too. There's no doubt about that. But a place like Notre Dame feels like home, and it looks appealing. We'll see. I didn't think that we'd have fans asking about this, though. I thought this was just back channel conversations at this point, but apparently it's more mainstream.
No, I think, it's when the job came open, I think a lot of fans, their minds went there. Like, because if you know about Margaret's background, if you know about Fran's background, he was there for 10 years as an assistant. It's not like he just had a cup of coffee there. I mean, that's where he met his wife, started his family. So
then Patrick goes too?
Well, I mean, gosh, yeah. I mean, you would think. I mean, if that happens, yeah, and then you lose the youngest son as well. But who knows? Connor's finally done. He this was his third senior day.
Not a good one.
You could say they ruined his senior day, but I don't know. He had two others.
I don't even remember how they did.
I don't know how many times he's gone through. I'm pretty sure he went through it last year. I'm almost positive he went through it last year.
I called the Iowa State women's game yesterday, and it was Ashley Jones' second. And when he said that, I'm like, how could it have possibly been his third? But it does make... It could. Theoretically, you could have, with an injury and with COVID, you could have 3 senior days these days.
How about this for a trade? Let's trade Fran McCaffrey to Notre Dame.
Okay.
Take Patrick. We'll get Darren DeVries and Tucker.
Oh, my God.
Matt Sampson just proposed that trade.
Do you know how mad you're making the Drake fans right now?
I don't know. Look, they're on top of the world. They're going to the tournament. They're playing great.
Yeah, they don't want to hear this. You're killing them, man. This got brought up to, I'm not going to say his name, but a friend of mine who's a Drake fan, they were killing Steve Prohm in the second half the other night, and my friend was just completely dejected. Couldn't even enjoy the game.
Why?
Because I was chirping in his ear about Fran to Notre Dame and DeVries to Iowa. I'm like, well, you better enjoy it. It's your last run with the DeVries at Arch Madness. Oh,
I know. That's kind of how Andy Fales thinks, too. Anytime they have this success, like, well, oh, geez. I remember when Greg McDermott was on a little bit of thin ice for a while, I was like, oh, geez, you're going to go to Creighton. Would you do that trade if you're, let's just say you're Gary Barta, and you've got it out there, you got it set up. I can trade Fran McCaffrey and Patrick McCaffrey to Notre Dame, and I can get Darren DeVries and Tucker DeVries in return.
I'll tell you why I would do it.
Would you do it?
And it's not even a disrespectful thing to Fran. Fran he's been there for so long. You feel like you've kind of reached whatever you're going to reach. This is kind of who we are. We go to the tournament every year. We're a good Big Ten program. DeVries is like your home-cooked guy. All the lineage. He's young, and his kid's an All-American. I think you do. Maybe I'm wrong.
I would do it. I mean, I don't think that would come as a surprise to many, but yeah. Hell yeah. Get some new blood in there.
Well, that's my point. It's not.
He's from
This isn't even
Iowa.
a critique. This isn't a critique as Fran as a guy or a coach. It's just he's been there a really long time.
And he's not an Iowa.
You
Like
feel
he's
like if you
not
were going to
an
peak,
Iowa
you would have
guy.
done it by now.
Well, yeah, you know what you're getting with Fran McCaffrey at this point. You're probably making the tournament. You might win a game. You won't reach the second weekend. That's what you're getting. Darren DeVries, I don't know. He's been damn good at Drake. He's won 20 games all 5 years. And this year, 27 games. And this is Drake. The Valley has gone downhill. This isn't the Valley of old where you had Wichita and Creighton.
I don't know, man.
But to do
Gary
this
Barta
at
was
Drake.
Yeah, Gary Rima was tweeting about the Valley today.
What about it?
Thinks it should be a multi-big league. He was pretty amped up.
Did you see Bradley today?
Rima.
They did not look like a tournament team. I know it's just one game, but
what about? So we keep getting this from a couple places. Jeff Horner. He is at Truman State.
Are you really going to hire? And I like Jeff Horner a lot.
He's a D2 guy right now.
I've known him from back when he was a player, and then he was a coach at Valley. But you're going to go from Division II to a head coach in the Big Ten, where when you've got a guy like Darren DeVries who's already in Division I. He's already won NCAA tournament games. He's winning titles at Drake.
No, you called DeVries before.
He's the 2-time MVC Coach of the Year already.
He's building a power in the Valley. Like and Drake's administration's really good. They've done a lot of things to make the Knapp Center a much more palatable place to go watch basketball. Mm-hmm. Like they've got something really special there at Drake that they're building. And they're going to be in the NCAA tournament.
You know what I would love to see? I would love to see the committee match Drake up against Iowa or Iowa State in the first round. You're not going to play him anymore in the regular season? You're not going to play Drake anymore? All right. We're going to force you to play him in the tournament.
Well, it won't be Iowa because, I mean,
at
Iowa's
this
not
point,
be high
no,
enough
because
seed, right?
Iowa would have to be. I mean, I could see Drake go. The ceiling would be a 10 seed. I think that they're probably an 11, maybe a 12. So that would mean Iowa would have to be a 7. I mean, I guess 7, 10. I don't think Drake goes that high, but I'm just saying. Have Drake play one of these teams because this is the only way we're going to see it. Now, Drake, Iowa State, that might have an over-under point total of about 105.
God, did you see the Lenardis today? So it had Iowa State back at a 5, and it had their potential.
Hang on. Have you seen these people online trying to claim that I was calling Iowa State a bubble team?
No, you were.
I never
out
called
there.
Iowa State a bubble team.
Last Tuesday, you were out there.
That Jerry Palm had said they were a bubble team.
I know he's your buddy. He's horrible. He had him as an 8 today.
He is our bracketologist at CBS. His headline, and it was on the front page of CBSSports.com, the very first story, the main story, Iowa State now a bubble team. I was reporting that he was saying that. I was saying that Iowa State, if they lose out, they'll be in the 8-9 game. That's not saying they're on the bubble. I never thought Iowa State was on the bubble.
You have a reputation, Christopher.
What's my reputation? I hate Iowa and Iowa State? Is that my reputation?
Yeah, I have seen all those people. I've been laughing at it. It's been a good time.
How about the shirt? You didn't give me a shout out on the shirt.
Look, loving the shirt. Go to our store.
Yeah.
IowaEverywhere.com. We got the link right up there to the store.
My wife got her shirt too. She was wearing it, walking the dog a couple nights ago.
Does she have the I like Chris but hate Chris one? Which one did I get her?
No, I think she wanted the that would be a fitting one for her to have, but she wanted the one that was like, it's like the state of Iowa and it says 2 guys named Chris.
Got it.
And don't you dare
my wife
send Amanda Guerra any of that free merch. Don't do that.
I was just going to send her a giant box of meat, just ground hamburger.
I'm sorry, Van Winkle. What did you say?
I said my wife keeps wearing my Iowa Everywhere shirts too. Can't get them.
They're very comfy.
Out of the laundry before she's wearing one.
They are comfy. They're great shirts.
Raygun does good work.
Yeah,
do really good work.
Just beautiful. I love them.
We had somebody up in the chat earlier ask if Channel is going to send you a giant bag of seed.
What could I grow? What are they? So I could grow like corn in my backyard?
Oh yeah, you want to grow some corn out there in Florida? How would that
work? Can we grow soybeans down here?
I don't know.
You know what? Maybe you could throw a little seed in that box of meat from Fairway that I still haven't gotten.
I actually did ping Fairway on that this week. And I was
told,
we can do that.
I think it's been like 7 months that we've been doing this show now. And on the very first show, you said,
sent you the hat.
We'll get you that box of meat, Fairway, hooking you
I don't
up,
control
man.
the meat. All I can do is send the text message. They brought it up at first. They said, yeah, we'll send Assel a big box of meat. I told you about it. Just like Jerry Palm, I reported to you what Fairway had told me. As you were passing along your bracketologist information to rile up kicking Iowa State fans when they were down. For real, though, like, I would love to know, and I don't have an opinion on Jerry Palm. I'm sure he's a good guy. I'm sure he works hard. Because he still had Iowa State as an 8 today, and that doesn't make any sense.
I can't speak for the guy. I speak to him several times a week.
Yeah.
And I always
I have a
Purdue will
theory on
lose
him.
and lose and lose, and I'll say, Jerry, but you got to take him off the one line, right? Nope, not taking him off the one line. Nope. Did you see? They
I have a
almost blew
theory on him.
24
I've always
point
had a
lead in the
theory
second
on
half
Paul.
to Illinois today, but they didn't. Go ahead with your theory.
Well, and I can't prove this.
Wait, are you going to say that he's got a rug?
What?
Are you going to say Jerry Palm has a rug?
I don't even know what that means.
What do you mean you don't know what that means?
He has a rug. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I was taking
Because he
it
doesn't.
literally.
It's real. I've
no.
met him many times.
No, I don't care about that.
That's real, baby. And
No,
it's
I don't care about
spectacular.
that. My theory is that because I've watched this for a decade now. I think Palm will tweak certain fan bases, and he knows it, and he knows that it pisses them off and that they'll click. I swear, and Iowa State fans are so sensitive because he's done it to Iowa too. I really think he does that. I think he knows which fan bases are good for business.
He's got Iowa on the 7 line. He's got Iowa State on the 8 line. I think you flip-flop those right now. I think
Iowa
after
State's a
what
6.
happened this weekend, Iowa State is a 6 or a 7,
I don't think
and
they go to a
Iowa
7.
is a 7 or an 8. Huh?
I don't think Iowa State will get to a 7 now. I think they're a 6.
I mean, they're still. We'll see what happens in the Big 12 tournament. I mean, if they go out and have a stinker, that was a huge win. There's
I mean,
no
they
question.
jumped like 10
they-
spots
yeah,
in the net.
They did. Yeah, that win. I don't know that any win. The committee would never say this. I don't think that one win could jump you an entire seed line, but that one might have.
Especially, but think about the conversation we had on Thursday when we both agreed the Caleb Grill situation could drop them a seed line.
Exactly. If you show that, oh my God, they're actually a better team without him,
Correct.
then that changes everything.
Yeah.
You pull the old switcheroo.
What do you think? We can get into that game, but Iowa State draws Baylor in the Big 12
I don't like
tournament.
that at all. I don't like it.
Okay, I could argue it each way. It is the whole. It's hard to beat a good team 3 times. Baylor is going to be a top 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. Clearly, they're a good team. You did see Iowa State. So the theory I have on Baylor and why they've had problems with Iowa State is those guards are elite, but they don't like the pressure that Iowa State plays with.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a decent matchup in that way, but I agree with you. I would much rather have gotten Kansas State or somebody like that.
And also, I feel like when you beat a team multiple times, you would be better off beating an equal team, but a different team those other times. What I'm saying is, if you go into the tournament and you've beaten Baylor 3 times, I feel like the committee looks at that as, okay, you beat Baylor. That's as good as like 1.5 wins against a really good team. Whereas if it's Baylor and Kansas and TCU, that's a much bigger deal. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Well, and that's
You
why
don't seem like you're following me.
Well, I'm reading the Big 12 awards just came out.
Oh,
they literally just came out.
Well, I'll put it this way.
second team. Kelsher all defensive team. Lipsy all freshman team. There you go.
Okay, not surprising. I'll put it this way. If I'm Nebraska, I would not want to face Iowa the very next game again.
Yeah, because you have the motivation. You have. I did think about it, though, like when Iowa State was playing Baylor and we were sitting around wondering what seed they were going to be. I had completely changed my mind, though, to not wanting to play on Wednesday. And here's why. Because you just had so much more to lose. If you lose to another non-tournament team, it makes you look that much worse. At least by playing Baylor.
Yeah.
It's like it's really just an opportunity. Assuming you don't get beat by 30 in that game.
Mm-hmm.
You've already beaten them twice. Winning in Waco is one of the best wins in college basketball this year.
Yeah, it is.
And you just did it. I think that let's say that I don't think that they'll be a 5. I think they'll be a 6 seed. That's where I would put them. I mean, they have more top 25 wins than anybody in the country. all this stuff matters. Like, they've beaten really good teams. I think they're a 6. I don't think they'll drop below that.
And Ben comments that they have beaten Baylor, Kansas, and TCU. I know that. I don't think I'm doing a good job explaining what I'm trying to say. Let's just say you're a random team out there, and you go into the tournament, and you've got your 3 big wins are 3 wins against Baylor. And then there's this other team, their 3 big wins are Baylor, Kansas, and TCU. I feel like the committee would look at that team that has beaten 3 different teams of the same level than just one team 3 times. That's all I'm saying. But
no, I get what you mean. The problem with this Big 12 tournament, you only have 10 teams, and 8 or 9 of them are tournament level teams. Maybe all 10, really. I mean, look at what Oklahoma did yesterday. Just killed TCU. The Oklahoma-Alabama game is still one of the craziest things that I've seen all year.
mm-hmm.
Right? So there's really none of those games were going to be like, oh, I think we have a pretty good chance to win this one going into Kansas City. They were all going to be sweating it out. I would rather just, well, if we're going to play in Kansas City, we're going to play Baylor in Kansas. All right, let's go. And that's where Iowa State's at. But really, like, one of the more improbable, the Oklahoma football game, Baker Mayfield versus Kyle Kemp's the most improbable sporting event I've ever covered. This was not even that they won. Upsets happen in college basketball all the time. The fact that, Chris, they basically won that game by 20 points other than a garbage possession at the end where they gave it up and Baylor hit a 3 right at the end. They kicked that team's ass, and it was just totally out of nowhere.
I had a feeling that they were going to surprise a lot of people. Now, I wasn't ready to go as far as to say that they would win the game. I just thought, a lot of times teams, they will respond. And we heard what TJ said that the day after the grill was dismissed, how great of a practice it was, and all these guys are so invested, and nobody's expecting anything from you going out on the road against a top 10 team after this. And the line was fishy; it was only 7.5, and people like Dave Zavolinsky texting this is the lock of the millennium. Baylor,
hey, in our defense,
how are they only favored by 7.5?
We both walked him off of that.
No, he'd still bet it.
Oh, did he really? I didn't know he did.
Yeah, he still did.
I thought he backed off.
He didn't. He still made the bet. Baylor minus 7.5, and it never had a chance. What would you say was the biggest difference in that game for Iowa State compared to the last month or so of Iowa State basketball?
The defense. Like, the energy on defense was totally different. And
I felt like they had a lot of energy on defense in that home loss.
Yeah.
To West Virginia.
I felt the tide turning against West Virginia. I don't know about
you. They played well.
That was
West
the
Virginia's
best game
good.
they've played in a while. Against they played better against West Virginia in that loss than they did against TCU in the win. They didn't play well in that game, but TCU shot like 40% from the free throw line. If you remember, it was really fluky. Iowa State wouldn't have beaten many teams that night in Hilton Coliseum. And they started playing downhill, the 2-man game with Kalsher and Holmes. I mean, that's the difference, right? Because you have guard play that's not incompetent offensively. But Otts was very deliberate. He goes out there and subs in Eli King, who we haven't seen all year, at the 12 and under, and the CEO, the walk-on.
Yeah, but I feel like that's just exactly what they needed. Everything was so stagnant and stale, and you can't score, and you can't win, and what's going on?
I think
Let's inject some life, some new blood into this thing to try to resurrect it.
Hey, this is a new season. We're playing for our pride. Everybody thinks we suck. I'm playing everybody in this game. Everybody's getting in the game, and you guys show me who wants to be out there in the postseason. I think that's what happened.
I love it.
And they were smiling. That's what happens when you beat a top 10 team on the road. Everybody does tend to have more fun. But Baylor, listen, I do, and this is why I give them a puncher's chance in Kansas City against this team, because they don't like that pressure. A lot of it is on officiating. The officials let Iowa State do a lot of what they want to do. But That to me is the difference. I mean, what did they get? Like 24 points off of turnovers in that game? That's the difference. When Iowa State's in the half court, they suck offensively. When they're scoring in transition, they're a really good team. But that hadn't been the case really for the last couple of months.
Go back to Friday and just think how different things were for Iowa and Iowa State fans.
I know.
Iowa fans are riding high off the Michigan State comeback, the Indiana blowout. Iowa State is as down as can be. You keep losing games. Now Caleb Grill is off the team. You got to go to Baylor. And then everything changes in 24 hours this weekend. And now, where are we, you think? Who's feeling better about their postseason chances right now? Is it a Cyclone fan or is it a Hawkeye fan?
This minute, because the Iowa game just wrapped up an hour ago, Iowa State fans do. It could be totally different in a week.
And that's incredible that we could come that far in such a short amount of time, just one game for each team.
If Iowa State is playing that level of defense, they can go to another Sweet 16, despite what has happened. I mean, if you look at some of these brackets, Chris, let's just assume they're a 6 seed. Hell, even a 7, worst case, whatever. The difference between, like, Iowa State has been playing 2 and 3 seeds all year and beating a lot of them. Like, there's not that level of, like, even last year, like, went into that thing, it's like, man, but then they got to play Wisconsin in the second round and the game's in Milwaukee. And I just don't think, like, I don't feel that with this group. And now I'm not saying they're going to sleepwalk to a Sweet 16. I'm not saying that at all, but I'm really not that intimidated by these teams I see on the 3 line. I'm not looking at Marquette and going, oh my God, there's no way Iowa State can win that game. Hey, puppy, he's a good boy.
Yeah, it's 5:15 here in Florida, and Nori is used to being fed right at 5 o'clock, so she's a little fired up right now.
She's a good girl. Hey, did you see my dog? Walked him. I've got him trained to shit in Bloom's yard.
No way.
Yeah.
And then Bloom's wife has to come out and clean it up?
Tweet, Van Winkle. I did this on Friday. I have my dog trained. When I take him on a walk, he automatically shits in Bloom's yard if he needs to or not.
So Bloom is probably sitting there, sipping on coffee, reading the paper, and he sees you, and he goes,
Crystal, Chris's dog just pooped in our yard again. Will you go out and scoop that up?
Why can't you do it, Brent?
I don't wanna. I want you to do it, like you Snowblow. For his Big Deck Energy t-shirts.
Look at Dirks.
He's
Dirks
looking right at the door, too. That's great.
It's like Fran McCaffrey to that official.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I see some boxes sitting outside the Bloom household. What could that be?
Dirks is my pride and joy. Look at that boy. Just taking that massive dump all over Bloom's front yard. It's a good day.
Why does Chris's dog always have to go poopy in my yard?
All right. Let's get to a couple other topics. We have a bunch of travel coming up this week, so I wanted.
Where are you going to the Kansas City?
I'm going to be in Kansas City. Yeah, I'm going to go on late Tuesday night. So I'm going to watch the Bondurant boys play in the state tournament on Tuesday afternoon, then drive there, and then we'll have media availability coming up on Wednesday morning for the Big 12 tournament. And I'm going to stay there through the women. So however long the Iowa State women, if they play, I'm going to cover them as well. What about you? So you're all over the country.
Oh,
right?
Jesus. Yeah, I'm going all the way to Vegas. I've got the Mountain West Women's Conference Championship game, which could feature a ranked UNLV team. And how about this? The number 2 team in the conference is coached by former Cyclone Heather Ezell.
I didn't know that.
He's the head coach at Wyoming.
Pointed that out.
And so I'm doing that that's on Wednesday night. That the game is anyway.
So that's in Vegas?
That's in Vegas. And then I'm going out to
staying at Circa?
You know what? I should hop over there. I don't know where they have us staying. I guarantee you it's not Circa. But I wish it was. And then from there, I'm going to Dallas. I've got the Conference USA Women's Championship. And
Mr. Conference USA, the voice.
Then I'm
of
done.
CUSA.
I think that's the last game I'm calling this year. I
thought you were doing a D2 game.
Well, I was going to call the D2 championship, but then they decided to send us out to the Final Four for CBS Sports HQ Spotlight. So I'm going to do that instead.
So why can't you go to Vegas with me and Van Winks and John Miller?
Because I think I've mentioned this on the show before. My sister is pregnant, and she is coming to visit.
What the hell does her being pregnant have to do with anything?
I just wanted to bring that up again because you said, "Well, you bring your sister out," and I said,
we'll
"She's
have a
pregnant."
Good time. She needs to have a good time before the snot
remember,
kids popped out.
You told me no pregnant women allowed at Circa. Pregnant men are welcome. Pregnant women, not so much.
Oh, Lord. Well, we're going out for the Sweet 16. Maddie Van Winks, he's got a pregnant wife.
Whoa.
And a
Wait,
puppy.
she's not coming, though, right?
She's not coming.
She's not allowed.
See? They don't allow pregnant women. So here's the thing. My sister and my brother-in-law and my niece are coming to visit that week. So that's why I can't go.
Hey, Matt, do me a favor. Pull up Google Circa NASCAR real quick.
Is Bloom going?
I want to show you guys something. And I don't even know who's the driver. But
is Bloom going to Vegas to play the slots all night?
No. It's me and Matt and John Miller. And Ken Miller's going to be there too for a while. The Circa's got
What
a
am
NASCAR.
I looking for here? The car?
Yeah, the car. They're sponsoring a car that's in the race today because they're racing at Vegas. It's badass. I think it's Daniel Suarez. Suarez. Speaking of that, I want to pub the Ashley Jones premiere that will be coming up.
Have you gotten as much
night.
hate for the Ashley Jones interview as you did for the Caitlin Clark interview?
It's so funny. All the people who were upset about the Caitlin Clark one are now not promoting the Ashley Jones one. It's just really funny how that works.
What do you mean they're not?
Yeah, look
promoting
at that. Circa's got a
NASCAR.
NASCAR.
That's a good looking car.
I'm gonna buy that for my office. Buy the diecast to put right there. Wouldn't that be cool?
I've got a I don't know where it went. I think my wife took it away. It was a Joey Logano car, diecast car like that. Because I was on his pit crew once.
Really?
Oh, you would have creamed yourself if you were in my position.
I'm actually just gone straight eggplant emoji just thinking about it.
Yeah, I was on his pit crew for a race at Charlotte about 6 or 7 years ago. Got to walk on the, the driver introductions. I got to go out there with him. Got to sit on his
He's kind of a nerd, right?
A little bit of a nerd. Good guy, though. Good guy.
Yeah.
I think he got big time hair transplant. Big time.
Oh, did he?
Yeah. He's promoting it and everything.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
John Miller's getting one of them.
No, he's not.
Yeah. He talked about it on the podcast this week.
Well, so we're going to have to update his Matt, can you pull up the John Miller cartoon as fast as you can? The one that looks like the guy from Independence Day or Men in Black, Tommy Lee Jones. He
looks like Tommy Lee Jones.
But so I have two favorite things about the John Miller cartoon. One is his hair. The hair looks like it is totally like a drunk guy spray painted his hairline on in this. Can we zoom in? Zoom in as far as you can. See, look. Doesn't it look kind of spray painted? Like compared to your hair, you look like you've got the best hair in the business.
I do.
So my second favorite thing is if you're a listener or a watcher of the program, it's the lip penis. It is the penis hanging from his upper lip.
Teeny tiny little penis.
It is, yeah. It's just the tip, but it is a tiny penis on his lip.
Is that all you can zoom in on that little teeny tiny penis, Matt?
I don't think the FCC will allow us to zoom in any closer on that lip penis.
As far as I can go. Yeah.
All right, boys. Well,
I heard a rumor, Williams,
no.
that John Miller is trying to get our cartoons banned. He thinks it's amateur hour.
Oh, really?
I heard a rumor about that.
Well,
I heard there was going to be a vote at the next board meeting.
I call the shots around here, and they're staying. I like the little teeny tiny penis lip, John Miller.
And look,
that'll be a thing.
I've got your cartoon guys on my shirt here. So if you have a shirt for your show with John,
we don't yet.
Have his little dick lip on there.
So you take off tomorrow? Like you head out to your games tomorrow?
No. Tomorrow I work. I'm in studio
at
CBS. I fly out really, really early Tuesday morning out to Vegas. And you know what? This has never happened to me before. It's crazy. I got upgraded to first class, okay? Which has happened. That happens. But in the app, you know where it asks you to like pick your seat, check in? It asks me to select my entree for the flight.
Entree?
Yes. It's pretty.
It's like 1980.
Look. I don't know if you can see that. See, select your entree.
What are you gonna get?
I click it, and then this is on two. So here are my options. I don't know if you can read those or not. Gio's Sorrento lemon chicken with herb roasted fingerling potatoes and broccolini.
You'll have diarrhea.
Served with burrata and tomato salad. That's option one. Option two is ensalada de mare with poached shrimp, lump crab, orzo, arugula,
do not
cherry
get seafood
tomatoes.
on the plane.
And then the third option, and this is the one I picked, margarita pizza with grated Romano.
They got a wood-fired oven on that pizza.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Something like that.
It's not a real first-class experience unless you have a wood-fired pizza oven on the jet. So is that what you guys would pick?
No pork butt on the plane?
No. Sometimes on flights to Iowa, you can choose the pork sphincter.
Yeah. No, you're not touching the seafood on the plane. That seems like a disaster. You ever had bad seafood and you're just pooping for like 3 days? Oh.
Wait, what? Does seafood just run right through you? It's like the river runs through it?
If it's bad. It does. I just can't imagine it's going to be this high-class seafood on the plane.
I don't know. It's first class. It's Delta. I mean.
No, you got to go with the safe pick.
I wasn't sure that I would be able to get to another level of like East Coast elitism. But now that I'm flying first class and I can select an entree for my flight.
Jeez.
And what are you taking, the Greyhound bus down to Kansas City? You taking the mega bus?
Cyclone Fanatic truck.
The mega bus for $1?
Hey, real quick, I was going to point this out earlier and I forgot. Spencer says, really interesting. Tyrese Hunter didn't even get honorable mention. That's shocking.
Do you think he should have?
No, I don't know. I just said, like, if you would have
But it's more shocking that he was so good last year with Iowa State, made that move to Texas where you think his role is he's on a team that could get a 1 seed still.
He was the freshman player of the year last year in the league, and he doesn't even make honorable mention now. It's crazy.
Cole wants to know if we eat mac and cheese with a fork or a spoon. It's definitely a fork.
Yeah, I think it's a fork.
Has to be a fork. If it's a spoon, you got way too much liquidy cheese in there.
Got to be fork.
Elise uses a spoon, though. It's her favorite meal.
I make a homemade mac and cheese. You could use it either. Yeah. I mean, if it's thick and creamy, you can use a spoon.
Van Wink.
Yeah.
You come up here and you barge into the conversation and you put yourself in the biggest box and then you cut my head off.
I know. I got to fix it.
Who do you think you are?
Who
do you think you are? I am. There we go. So when are we going to do our next show? You think we're because we can't do it on Thursday morning.
I think it's either going to be Friday morning or, to me, that would make the most sense because Iowa and Iowa State would both
let's shoot for Friday morning.
Yeah. That makes the most sense to me. We'll plan on that tentatively. Just real quick, Jared and J-Bo are going to do a huge conference tournament preview show as well, where they're going to go through all the brackets and all that stuff. So you guys can look forward to that. I'm actually not for Iowa Everywhere. You can listen to it on Cyclone Fanatic. I'm doing a long form podcast with Matt Campbell tomorrow, which I'm not really in football mode, but he's.
How'd you get him to talk willingly on a forum like this?
I mean, why wouldn't you want to talk to me?
It's true. But, I mean, he won't even go on like Murph and Andy.
Yeah, but it's me. I mean, come on. You wouldn't want to hang out with me for an hour?
Are you guys going to be together? Or are you going to be in
I'm
separate...
going to his office, yeah. It's not for It's for Cyclone Fanatic, but we're all swimming in the same pond.
Jeez, look at you. Caitlin Clark. Then you go to the Iowa State side. You know what you need to do? You need to find Jones's dad, Mr. Jones.
I actually shook his hand
yesterday. Sit down with Mr. Jones. Sit down with Mr.
Yesterday.
Jones.
He invited me to the restaurant.
You got Ashley Jones, Caitlin Clark, and Matt Campbell.
Yep.
All right. Well,
enjoy your travels. We'll be in touch with our audience about when these shows are coming up. It's kind of hard. I actually like this week better just as a fan, I think, than the NCAA tournament. The NCAA tournament's awesome, but everybody's playing and like it's a really fun week. And again, Iowa State plays early Thursday, and Iowa play Friday now, or now that they lost today, do they play Thursday? I don't even know.
This is going to be dated because I'm sure there'll be some people that don't listen until Monday, but Iowa still has a good chance to get the double bye.
Oh, okay. All right.
Depending on a result later on Sunday night between Rutgers and Northwestern. I think
that'll be a doozy.
I think if Rutgers, I don't know, if I think Rutgers wins and Iowa still gets the double bye.
Okay.
And not that it was ever in doubt. Iowa is the women are rolling against Ohio State. We kind of figured that would happen.
Good stuff. All right. We appreciate all of you following along and joining us on a rare Sunday afternoon program. We'll be back later this week. We'll have content throughout the week. Thanks for following us, and thanks for listening to Iowa Everywhere. Have a good week.
Williams' dog is pooping in my yard again.